10 seconds.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the View from the Dead Box. We are approaching the last week up until the MVPS. What's your thoughts, Mike? Because you're not going to be there because you're a piece of shit.
Damn, you went fucking right at me with that one. I will not be there. Obviously, I'm confident you guys will do well, though. I mean,
We got
we
a
always have
slew
decent
of
showings.
players.
Dude,
We have
you do not have a slew of players. I haven't talked to you about it since the CPSL. Like that. Are you lying to me about this?
Oh, I haven't told you.
No.
Oh, go look at the roster. I think you'll get a
Okay.
kick out of it.
I'm pulling it up now. Like, no, you haven't told me.
Oh, I thought I told you. I think I told Shane. That's why it looks probably a little bit different. I think you'll get a kick out of it. You'll probably be upset you're not playing with the
I
roster.
actually am upset I'm not playing on this roster.
Do you see it?
I do. How the hell did you get Dave?
I just messaged him and said we were, short on some bodies, and he's like, all right, well, they didn't put a line in for it. It's had Z4, and I was like, they missed the cutoff, and I'm like, well, dude, we're missing some bodies. So he has one more guy. I think we might pick him up. I'm kind of stuck at 7, and the only thing I'm worried about with picking 8 is what happens if it gets like 10 million degrees.
Have you
and we
looked at
make
the
a
weather?
deep run. Huh?
Have you looked at the weather for this weekend?
No, but I mean, it's Florida, and it's been like 85 here all week, so I just assumed it was going to be hot,
Yeah, I'll pull it up real quick.
I'm just curious because that 7's like a great number if you have a pit crew and a coach, but a lot of guys carry 9. But man, we've had so many problems carrying any more than 8. There's issues. I mean, people don't get a lot of playing time, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it'll be like mid 80s.
Yeah, so it's not like crazy.
Saturday would be 90, so I'd say between 80 and 95. You know what I mean? That it could
80
be 90
and
degrees.
95.
So it's gonna be a hot motherfucker.
Yeah, so I might need to grab 8 people.
And it looks like it might rain on Sunday as well.
Really?
Yes. Right now it's a 45 chance. I mean, it's Tuesday as we're recording this, so you're still 5 days away.
It'll change 7 times till then.
Yeah. No, I mean, you'll definitely make it out of prelims. If Georgia Extreme doesn't make it out of prelims, we just played like shit regardless. Yeah. So I mean, this roster I would say is very similar to what we normally have.
Yeah.
David has just played a little longer than maybe some of the other players have, but
yeah,
everybody, it's definitely good. You're not going to be hurting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And who's the Josh Bartlett?
That's Grant. He plays with Crisis. He's their snake player. Tyler recommended him to us. So he came up and introduced himself at CPSL, and we were kind of talking for a while. And we're short a snake player. And I also reached out to Hunter. I'm like, I know we talked about saving you for the NXL. I'm like, but how do you feel about the MVPS? He's like, fuck it, I'm down. So he randomly, last week's notice, he drove down last weekend and played the layout, which is awful. Absolutely awful.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. But
yeah, it's awful. He played the layout last weekend, and then he'll be there this weekend. So
nice.
Hunter definitely coming in clutch as usual.
Yeah. So no, that'll be big. Yeah, y'all should do fine.
So I think we have a good mix of Snakeside guys too.
The pits where y'all going to be lacking, honestly.
Well, some of the D5 guys should be hanging out.
Okay.
Because then they play Saturday. So
I'm gonna look at their roster real quick.
I don't know if I completed it yet. I should have. I mean, it's gonna be their core 4, and I think I'm gonna put Arthur on it for the 5th, and then
you have Hayden, Courtney, Jamie, Baxter, and Ryan on it for now.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be them 5 and Arthur as the rotator more than likely. That's probably gonna be the deal.
Now, do you think them doing well at that CPSL is gonna either light a fire behind them, or do you think it's gonna make them get waxed?
I think a lot of fire behind them because they know they could have done a lot better at last MVPS.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna come in full bore here.
I hope so.
But this field is just really awful, man. It's just really bad.
I need to look at the layout too.
You can get into the Viper pretty easily. You can get all the way on a snake really easy. I think it's gonna be won by a snake almost every single point. You can like walk and gun up to the X the entire way. It's like all blind. We went to the 300 every single game on the break. Never got shot, not once. It's just everything's blind, man. It's just really shit, honestly.
Let me see. I'm pulling it up here. Just
I think what else. I think what else is different about that field. The center's pretty shit.
So you said you were going right to the 300?
Yeah, easily. You can.
Oh, because it's so up the center.
Yeah, I was running and gunning to it every point. It's like super easy.
And that brick probably blocks everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. This should be a good layout for Shane then, because he kind of, you know what I mean, that allow him to play up the center, and then you could pull like you or Jamie, just to be wide at the like a 100 or something. I don't know if that's any good. I'm just, you know, what I mean, this is me not playing it, looking at it. Yeah, that snake side is a little weird. That corner is going to be key.
Which one? The wedge corner?
The snake corner, I would think.
Oh, snake corner, yeah, for sure. Snake corner is we put a bunker, put a guy there every single point.
Yeah,
you can shoot right down the snake. Yeah, he's the only guy that controlled the 2 to go into the Viper.
Yeah, he could literally get there and look down the wire. Like
that's what we did. That's what we did. I went out there against Chuck and literally sat in the wire and shot like a pot of paint on him the whole entire time.
He'll stop that entire snake guy. He can literally, whatever he gets off the break is what he'll take, and he'll just have to play the inside and maybe try to make a wild move inside and over. That would be his only option, really. But
yeah, well, you can crawl to the 1 to the 2 really comfortably without being seen.
The little wing and doesn't block you out, or it does block you out.
It does, yes. Okay. But the 2 to the Viper is the only time you can get seen.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I mean, so you say it's shit. Do you think it'll still play well for you? You guys think you'll play well on it, or?
I don't know. I don't know who. We'll just have to. The D6 or D5 guys are playing on Saturday, so we're just gonna see through them. Okay. But it doesn't. It's not a traditional field. I like traditional fields.
I do too. It looked traditional when I first looked at it, but then once you like really look at it, I didn't realize how far that snake was inset. Like I knew it was.
I was kind of hoping the small Doritos would be on the outside of the danger, and the brick would be shifted inside a little bit. Now that would be kind of a cool layout. Yeah. But the Doritos are there just being wasted. Like they're fucking awful.
Yeah. That is so strange. Interesting. So
no, go ahead. If anybody's in the danger, you can just run on the outside and shoot them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then once you get to that danger, you just wrap around that bitch.
Yeah, instantly. Yeah. That's all we were doing. So once they seen a guy in the danger, we just ran up there and just shot him.
Huh. Weird. I don't. I liked it quite a bit, but not now. I don't like it now. And I think more looking at it with you and whatnot has changed my opinion on it some. So I was looking around today, at some topics, and this isn't really a topic, but it's a little bit of news.
Yeah.
Did you see that they have moved Living Legends 13?
Yes. Well, is that the one in Myrtle Beach?
No, it's going to be at Fayetteville at Black Ops, where we just played in the CPSL.
Really?
Yep. This was a press release on the 16th of March, so it's almost a month old, but I just now noticed it.
Well, I know they moved it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it moved to there. I know Jamie and them were all talking about going to it.
Yeah, I don't know when the date for it is.
I think it falls close to a tournament or something like that because they asked me to go play it, and I said something about it fell in line with an event. Let me see. He texted me about the event.
Yeah, I'm not seeing when they're gonna do it, but it's probably it's probably past. That'd be funny, but it's just I don't know how well that field's gonna handle having that big of an event there. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I mean, it might not be big. Who knows?
I don't know. I guess it's one of those things. I'll have to look more into that when it comes up. But I just thought it was kind of crazy. Like, we literally just played at that field, and I keep going, how are you going to run a scenario here? You can barely fit cars for a speedball, like a tournament. So I can imagine you're going to have more for a scenario.
I have no clue.
So, and they're doing another thing, not at a how should I phrase this? It's not a tournament thing, but they do their paintball Hall of Fame classes, and it's something I didn't know they did every year. I've heard of them before, but this is their people they're nominating for their 2021. Two of them make sense. They have Tim Montresor and Rocky Cargoni.
Yeah.
And then they have the Jerry Braun. I always recognized him. He was a promoter and helped produce some of the films. So like a lot of the bigger films you see, he comes through. And the two I don't know are the Craig Miller, and here it says he's a trade show and a vendor guy, so I'm guessing he works with one of the companies. And they have a field owner, And I wish they said what field, because everybody else they have what field they own, but they didn't for the 2021. But I guess it's kind of fitting. They almost, not that they had to put Tim Montrester in there, but since he passed away last year, but him and Rocky Cargoni, that's two pretty big names they slipped in here.
Yeah.
And the first year they started doing this was 2017. Yep. And they still don't have like Oliver Lang. He's yet to make it in.
Really?
Yes. Why do you think that is? That was kind of where I was going with my question. Why would, because the players for like 2017 were like old guy, Mike Blue Hands, which I know who he is. He used to do the Blues Crew for, there's a,
who?
Mike Hanse, Hanse. He used to do something with Blues Crew, and it was a team, and they had a giant, he would be in all the magazines back in the day. But that was the first player they had on here, but yet no Oliver Lang. Which that's the name that if everybody asks, paintball or not, some people know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense to me. Like,
I mean, what
isn't that crazy? Or is it just, it feels weird to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking too far into it. It's just weird. I don't know.
I mean, I can't really give an answer. I don't really understand why.
I don't know. Maybe they saw his interview he did back in the day. And we're like, oh, he went too loopy on us. We can't have him being involved with these paintball people.
These paintball people.
What about that word?
I don't know. I did think it's funny that his headband release was a quote of his to get into the site with a password, and Truesdale like randomly get like, I think it was like, I forget the saying. It was something like, times like these, you just basically play. I think everybody really does it for, and it was a blank, and you had to figure out the word. And he was like, it's probably like love yourself or some bullshit like that. And the password was actually yourself. It was something about like the quote in Serial Killers was something like, you just basically got to go out and do it for yourself. And that was the quote. But the word funny to get into the website was yourself. So
that's
what you've seen the headband we got, those things, dude.
I was getting right to ask.
They are selling out. Every release they put out, every single headband they have sells out, and no lie, 2 to 4 minutes, all of them are gone. The entire site's gone every single time. They've had like 6 releases, all of them are gone every time.
How does Courtney like hers?
I don't think she's gonna play with it. She loves it, but it'll probably just be put up on the wall.
Did you get one too, or not?
No. I just let her get. You know that they're already going for $500, and they're selling fast at $500.
I just don't.
Like they're like literally people put them up, they're gone in like 10 minutes, gone.
I get collectible things, but some of these, this could be a whole fucking podcast. The way some people treat some of the things in paintball, like for collector wise, is crazy to me. Like,
now, see, these are easier for a collectible because they're all logged, they're noted, they're numbered. You actually have documentation behind them. I always thought it was insane to watch some of the sandanas I have. They go for like crazy amount of money, and I'm like, but how do you know how many were made? You don't. They're not labeled. They're not numbered. You're just like, well, I got a purple OG 10 ounce, and the guy's like, I want $700 for it, and I'm like, man, I'd never pay that. Boom, sold. I'm like, how? I'm like, how are they going for this much? You know, I'm like, and they're not labeled. You know, at least with flexes, some things they can tell you like, oh, there were only 50 of those masks ever made, so you know there's 50 frames, 50 ears, 50 bottoms. So if you have one, you're like, well, this is one of 50 basically.
And you can go through, and they have the different markings inside of them, so you know if it was JT or Key or Empire, GI. You know what I mean? You know what? Because I mean, those are all the same things, but you know which generation that came from. Yeah. Because like there's even some that they're black flex frames, and some people thought they were worth a shit ton of money, and they have the Empire logo in the middle, but they weren't worth dog shit. They were put on one of the shitty Empire masks, and it was just like they used flex frames for it, and then people started realizing, oh, hey, we can get more frames. At
the event, Ryan wears a flex, you know, and I was like dogging him, but he's never taken the lens out and cleaned it. And he's like, I want to get he has a clear. He's like, I think I want to get a mirror lens. I'm like, all right. And he goes up there to the event. He buys a blue mirror lens or whatever, brings it down, and he's like, hey, how do you change the lens on one of these? And I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, you've never changed the lens on one of these before? And he's like, no. I'm like, you are in for a rude awakening, sir. I'm like, so I obviously remembered it's been many years, but just snatch the bitch off and get it out. I'm like, the toughest problem you're gonna have is the nose.
Yep.
The nose clips. I'm like, but I take it all apart and get it switched out pretty easily and give it back to him. He does a well job putting it back together. But I'm like, I pull it out and it's just paint is stuck down in the frame. I'm like, man, this is such a fucking shitty design. It really is.
Well, no, I 1000% agree. And you know, I love my flexes.
Yeah.
It's just I don't even want to say it's a shitty design, but I mean it is. When you compare it to today, it's just so old. You know what I mean? Like back then, nobody had a quick change system.
Yes.
So if you take when the time the mask was made, it was on par with everything else. But there's been a few where like I either buy a mask from someone or a mask that I had that I let someone use and then I get it back. I forget to clean it because I'm like, I didn't wear it. Didn't clean it, but someone else did. And that paint just gets all up under between the actual frame and the lens. It's fucking nasty. And it'll be thick too.
And there's nothing you can do about it either. It's just such a it's an awful design.
I'm surprised you didn't try to turn him to
I did. I said literally, when you get back, sell this piece of shit mask, sell the shit for it, buy a push or something that you can change lenses out in like 13 seconds. Like, oh, it's raining, boom, clear. Oh, it's sunny, boom, mirror.
Yeah,
like,
you just bring 2 masks.
No,
that's my solution.
2 masks. Like, God.
It'd be the same price.
Yeah, when you have 2 shitty masks, you have to change the lens on and clean them. I get home after practice, I typically snatch my entire mask apart, clean the whole mask in like literally 30 seconds. The whole mask is clean, done, spotless. I'm like, okay, put that together, boom, 10 seconds, done. All right, cool. Wearing it again. Flex, like, this is an all-night event. I'm like, oh, here we go. Got to take the whole entire flex apart to clean it. And you're like watching a TV show while you're like scrubbing, and I'm like,
well, I mean, yeah, you are, but I don't know. It's one of those things. I've worn other masks. Like, I mean, there was a while I had I4s.
I kind of wish
events, but
somebody got a picture of me wearing your clear one. It wasn't clear. It was black and silver.
Yeah, it's the clear bottoms with the snow camo frames, right?
Yeah, I'm like, and I put them on. You like, all right, those look really good.
Yeah,
and I was kind of hoping somebody would get a picture of it because it's very rare you'll ever catch me in a flex, and only if I like run to the pits and like my shit's fucked up and I didn't fix it, I just grab somebody's mask and just walk onto the field. And I'm like, I'm hoping somebody gets a picture of this just so I can like see how good it looks.
Oh, dude, it look good. Trust me.
That's the only time there. I'm like,
it fits you perfect because that's an expensive build. That's like those bottoms are like $140.
Really?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I went out there at that point and got fucking gogged too.
Probably.
Like,
brand new lenses, frames.
I walked on, you're like, hey, those are brand new, never been played with. Like, enjoy them. And I'm pretty sure at that point, then nothing won that point. The next time I wear them again, it's like, whoosh! I'm like, oh, there we go. The shit all in. I'm like, all right, Mike, I like nasty. You put that back down, dirty as shit, and grab my shit back on.
That's the only thing. Like, I have lots of nice flex stuff, but I beat the shit out of mine. Someone's gonna get all mine one day and be like, wow. But I'm like, I play with it all. Like, I can't. I say I play with it all. I got a fucking one in the background. That's the only one that has never been played with, and that's the snow camo bottoms with the white frames. I believe
you can't play with them.
Yeah.
The problem is they'll just get destroyed. You can't play with his or Hunter. One of them played with theirs in the MVPS event, and they said it stained them all. It fucked them all up.
I think Shane, his white got stained. I was able to get mine out with some Dawn and some OxyClean on a toothbrush.
Flex soup.
Really close to it, and it got it off about 90%. But again, I have a pair of white HB frames, and if those were clean, they'd be probably $80 to $100 frames. Really? These ones are fucking all stained up. I played one time at a GFOA like 10 years ago, and I got shot right in the face with like orange JT paint, and that stained them so bad. And I was like, this hurts my soul. Like,
well, I know and it's not me, as I hate those Chuck's frames. I cannot stand the bandana frames.
Oh, really? Those were mine. I sold them.
They have a huge following behind them. Everybody loves them. I've never been one for gaudy gear. Like, it stands out. You can see the frames. Like, you wear that green beanie, I'm like, man, everybody sees
I know.
Or somebody has like a neon green hopper, I'm like, everybody sees the green
Jesus
hopper.
Christ. I feel really attacked right now.
I'm like, I like shit that blends in with bunkers.
Yeah.
Like, looks mutual. I don't want to run down and have like a neon green hopper floating on the field, because I've caught myself like catching people with like bright white jerseys on the dark field. And then at the corner of my eye, I see a black bunker and then a white jersey like flash or move. I'm like, oh, fuck, danger. I'm like, nobody called it. But I just seen at the corner of my eye I seen a bright white flash, or somebody's like neon mask, like an orange mask, something lean up over a bunker, and it's the first thing I see. Like, it attracts my eyes. I'm like, oh my god, you're dead. But if it blends in, they're all black. I've been shot so many times by like just mutual dark colors, and they blend in with the bunker. Or a guy's in the snake too, like tucked in super tight, and it has like an all black gun, and there's a little black and red field, and you just cannot see it. And you get shot. You're like, where the fuck was that from? You look over there, and you had to look twice to go find out where you got shot from. You're like, all you see is like it's half his mask and his barrel and his stopper. You did not. It didn't like bling out in your face, so you didn't see it. Like,
the beanie I do. Just to be an ass, because I'm like, oh, the big dude with a bright beanie, that works out. Now the loader, every time I have like a wild color piece of gear, it's always because it was cheaper. Like, that's the only reason. And then like that neon green Spire 3 I had, I bought that brand new for $100 from Virtue, and they were doing one of their steals, and I was like, And then I sold it to Joey, and Shane was like, you gave him too good of a deal, which I did on purpose, but they were like going for like $200. Yeah, I sold it him for like $130 or something. And then same with those bandana frames. I bought those. Actually, I got those from Joey. And
aren't those worth a good bit of money now?
Yeah, I got them from him for like $50. And Can told me because Chuck asked me, he was like, "You want to sell those?" I was like, "I would." I was like, "I don't know how much they're worth." So I was like, "Let me ask Shane." And Shane was like, "They're worth like $150." So I told Chuck, I was like, "They're worth $150. I paid $50. If you give me $100, they're yours." You know what I mean? Like, I was like, "Let me make a little bit. I'll save you $50. I make $50." And he was like, "That works for me." So I was like, "Well, Chuck, they're yours." I mean, we're sitting on a shelf. So
pretty sure Chuck has the red and the blue.
Yeah, I sold him the reds. That was my second set of reds I had. I had got another one from someone one time. I traded a tank for them or something. Or I don't remember. I've had so many flex stuff come in and out, and I'm getting ready to purge a bunch of gear. I have a box over in the corner that has like literally 15 complete masks in there, and I gotta have Shane tell me what each like strap is worth and everything. I'm probably just gonna part them all out little by little, but it's probably $2,000 worth of masks.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, I need to get rid of these.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, don't tempt me. It's almost mech time.
I've been eyeing them up. Only reason I'm not. I was literally today. I was looking at the Adrenaline Luxes. They have 2 of them in stock, ready to ship, and I was on the buy button today at work. I'm like, I could buy one and have it here for the event. I'm like, man, I really want to get one of these. I'm like, but I have another gun coming in like a week. So I'm like, I'm waiting. I'm like, man, I just wait for the other one to come in. And I'm like, but I really want to get this Adrenaline because nobody has them. They were like,
send it.
But I'm like, I was waiting. It's funny you say send it because that's the color that's in stock. Is the full send.
Well, there you go.
Yes, it is. But they have like, I'm not sure if you've been on their site. They have like 70 or 80 different anos.
Jesus.
Yeah, you can pick, and whenever one you pick, it's typically like one of like 4, one of 3.
That's wild.
Yeah, so everyone's labeled and numbered. But it's insane, Anos, dude. It's like dual fire inferno, and it's like black and smoke faded in the front, and it fades into a polished like fiery inferno on the back of the gun. It's like,
oh, that's badass.
Wild ass Anos.
I'm trying to pull that up real quick.
I'm telling you, they have like a what's another one? Just type in Adrenaline Lux, so I found it. I'm trying to think of the other ones. They have like a deep water blue, and it's like a dark blue, like in the bottom of the ocean. That's pretty crazy. They have a Thanos on there. But some of these, if you go to the pictures and scroll, it's going to be pictures of the Adrenaline Shockers because the other Anos aren't in on the gun yet.
Yeah, see, mine's not showing any pictures on any of them.
You just click on them, and then they go left and right on the pictures.
Yeah, I do. It just shows like a stock. They're all the same stock photo.
Huh? No.
Let me see on the Shockers if it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same colors on the Shockers.
Okay, yeah. It shows it on the Shockers. It wasn't showing them on the Luxes.
Yeah, so that's the same Anos on the Shockers as the Luxes.
Oh, okay.
They have one that's really badass. It's called the Number 1 Stunner. And I think it's like Eric Dearman's, from the old Iron Man.
Yeah.
The original All-Americans.
God dang, some of these are wild looking.
Yes. Dude, and they are detailed. I would like to know who does them. It has to be like Blizzard or Aesthetic or something like that, because
I like their red digi camo.
Yes, it's polished, I think.
Yeah. Well, they have it. You can get it either or. You can get it dust or polished.
Now they have the full send in stock. I think that's like a black, orange, and gray splash fade kind of thingy.
Yeah, those
that
look good.
Badass. And then they have a nebula in stock, which is that crazy pink purple weird.
Yeah.
They have that in stock. They have one more that was in stock. But they have like over 40 different colors. Look at the number one Stunna. It should be Eric Dearman. I think it's called Eric Dearman number one Stunna. It's insane. Should be somewhere in the top. You should see it. But those guns, I know they're not going to be too much different than the standard Luxes that are going to be coming out. I know they have basically the mech frame with the what you call it, the mech frame with the special anodizing or special coating on the bolt.
Compared that looks good.
The number one Stunna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looks badass. That's kind of the one I wanted.
Grips are kind of wild.
Yes, but they were worth more. I think it's worth more money. I think it's worth like $200 more. I think the normal gun's worth like 23, and that was like 25 or something.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, this one's 24.
Yeah. So, and you can also pay for serial numbers.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
They sold serial numbers, like they sold the first 20, like number 1 through 20, and it was insane, dude. Like the number one, if you paid for the number one serial of the gun, you get the first Lux off the build was like $1,200 extra on top.
Jesus.
Then every one you went down was like $100 less. It was like number 2 is like, I don't know, like 1,000, then like 900 all the way down. I'm like, who is buying a full send custom everything and then paying for the number one?
That kind of that's wild money for paintball gear. Holy cow!
Wild.
I didn't realize that the anos on these looked as good as they do.
Yes.
I've never been. I mean, I've been on Adrenaline site 20 years ago.
There's like 50 anos in there.
Yeah.
You scroll down and there's nothing but anos in there.
These shockers look good too, but it would be hard to pass up the Luxes now.
I would not go with the shocker compared to the Lux now, especially the Lux comes with a frame and all in the box ready to go.
Holy cow!
And they got videos of guys shooting like 18 balls a second with those things.
I'm telling you, man, people are gonna start doing it in an X-Ball event.
I mean, I wonder.
You gotta do it.
I need to read the rule book and see if you can have one and if it's allowed.
I bet. I'm telling you, I think it is. I could be incorrect, but I feel like there just wouldn't be a rule against it, but it's going to come. You know what I mean? Like, someone's going to do it, and then they're going to be like a whole team shooting 18 balls a second, and it's going to freak the fuck out of someone.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not an easy 18 balls a second.
No, you have to work it for the 18.
Yeah. So...
And that's the thing is, it's probably a lot more accurate and more consistent to shoot 10 out of a gun on electro than it is to shoot 10 out of a mech gun. And by the end of the event, you gotta think your fucking hand would be killing you shooting all day. So you gotta think the average person, average player at the end of the event probably shoots roughly 3 to 4 cases of paint, and that's probably an underestimate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're shooting 10,000 shots, you know.
Speaking of paint, did you see the CPSL talking about paint?
No.
On their thing? They were talking about teams moving paint from one team to another. They're not going to allow teams to do that anymore and stuff like that. Yeah.
What? Say that again?
Like, if we pre-ordered such and such, we pre-ordered 15 cases.
Yeah.
If you don't shoot the 15 cases, I think you still have to pay for them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
that's 100%. The thing. And then now they're also saying, like, how we sold some paint to another team. Or just like moved it. I don't know exactly what you did. They're not letting that happen anymore.
Well, first of all, they can't tell me what I can and can't do with my paint.
Well, no, that's I mean you could walk up there and buy it and give it to the other team.
Yes, exactly.
But basically, what I think they're saying is you can't.
That's what we did. I think what we also did is they probably don't like is we transferred paint from our D4 line to our D5 line.
Yeah.
Like we had we ordered like 25 and 25. We had like, I don't know, like 6 or something left.
Yeah.
And we only, on the D5 guys, we only had 10 cases pre-ordered. Well, I knew they were going to shoot more than that.
Yeah.
Well, so what I did was at the end of the day, we had a whole bunch of paint took over. I think we transferred like a couple cases. I think we kind of fucked them on accident because we had 6 cases left on pre-order. But at the end of that event, there was, I think the number was 68 or 70 pods of paint still full. I said, pile this up. You guys will shoot this tomorrow. This is still a lot of paint.
Yeah.
You'll shoot all of this tomorrow, and then when you can clear all this paint out, which lasts in like 3 matches. I said, then we'll start pulling your 10 cases we have put up. So we had 6 cases left. Well, Chuck put the 6 cases we had left on Project X's pre-order, and I said, no, we're gonna sell it to what you call it? Sell it to
Tantrum, I think.
Tantrum. And they said, okay. So he went back up there and said, hey, just give us the paint. We're gonna give it to somebody else. Then maybe that's why they got mad. They're like, well, bro, I don't understand. They still sold the paint. They want to sell double the paint. Like,
I think they wanted to be able to charge someone.
No, because you're fucking me, first of all.
Yeah.
Because MVPS makes you pre-order it, or it make you can pre-order it, and if you don't shoot the paint, you can push it to the next event, or you can get cash back. However you want to do it. But now they're making you buy all the paint up front, and then when you buy it, oh, you didn't use it? Take it with you, brother.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like,
and then you can't even shoot at the next event.
Yeah, you're gonna make me pre-order 50 cases of paint and pray I use all of them. And if I get knocked out and don't go into finals or anything quarters, I'm stuck with 20 or 30 cases of paint to take home. Nah, not gonna be me, Chief. Yep. You can fucking eat a dick with that one. So I'm definitely not gonna let that fly.
Heck no.
I'll tell him straight up he can eat a bag of dicks. He's not gonna like tell me I have to order. Like, let's say we typically shoot 30, 35.
Yeah, I would say
35 cases. You have to buy 35 cases to get to the price. And if you only shoot 20, you can't send back to 15. Just push it. And that was another thing. And before I pulled his last, he made me pull his last 4 cases. At the end of the event, we still had 4 left. I said, hey, can I just take these 4 and just push them to the next event? Nope. Gotta take them right now. I'm like, this is gonna be a problem.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, this is gonna be we're gonna have an issue. So
yeah, that's gonna make a lot of teams unhappy because we're in the same boat. Most of these teams can't shoot that paint for practice.
Yep.
And then if you're not gonna push it to the next event, then it does us no good either. Like, it's gonna sit and go to waste. So
clowns. Fucking
that is
clowns.
a little ridiculous. Did you have anything else, sir? We were a little all over it today.
Yeah, kind of a little bit. I mean,
talk some flexes. What else did we talk about? Obviously, paint we just finished up on. Some MVPS talk. What a little bit of around the globe, huh?
Trying to think.
There was no topics involved on that one. I didn't even look at my list. We won that one. Next week we'll be able to cover up the MVPS.
You guys see this gun I have coming in?
Well, this is what I was getting ready to ask you. All right, I got 2 questions for you.
I'm not gonna tell you what it is until it comes in.
Okay, then I got 1 question for you. Did you put a picture in our group chat the other night of some LV1? Is that yours? The red and
no, I don't think so.
White and red.
White and red. No, that's McMurray's.
Oh,
he shot it this weekend.
It looked like it was at your house. That's.
Oh no. Yeah, he shot it this weekend, and the fucked up thing was he showed up and the gun looks beautiful, like not a scratch on it, right? He's like bragging about it, hasn't played with it yet. He's like, man, I contacted the guy, and I'm like, I told him, the guy told him, sold him the gun, and said it was used. He's like, hey man, you said this gun was used, and the guy's like, it is. I shot it in my backyard. He's like, oh, okay, so the gun is like pristine.
Yeah.
Well, you know me. I'm like looking at the gun like before he plays. I'm like looking at it. I look down the breech and the bolt stuck forward. So out loud I go, hey man, on these guns or any gun that's an open bolt system, don't push the bolt forward and store it with the bolt forward because you know why?
Yeah.
Because it fucks the detents up. And he's like, oh, okay, cool, appreciate it. Well, then I look down the breech and there's no fucking ball detents. I'm like, that's odd. There's got to be ball detents in here. So I stick my finger in there and there's nothing. I pull the bolt out. The ball detents have like deteriorated inside of the slots of the bolt. They're in the bolt. I'm like, oh no. Pull them out, and I'm like, hey man, you gotta, before you even play this thing, you need to have a detent. He's like, okay, I got some. Puts them in there, and they're so old they just broke off again. I think Shane had another new set for him to put in. But yeah, he's like, yeah, this gun's like brand new, dude, never even used. And I happen to like pick it up and look at it. I'm like, this thing does not have detents in it. I'm like, you cannot shoot this.
It was probably some military guy probably bought it, shot it, threw it in his closet with that bolt forward for God knows how long.
Yeah.
I probably would have had detents for him too, but there ain't no telling. Those things are probably, they could be old, dry rotted out by this time because they're probably from 08, 09.
Have you seen how the GO4 stores its, what you call it? And maybe another gun does this too. Maybe the CS1 does it. I'm not really sure. But it stores an extra set of detents inside of the gun.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you pull down your front grip, and then you have the 2 locks that on the side of the gun that lock your eyes in.
Yeah.
slide that down to flip your eye cover over. When you slide those back and flip the eye cover up, there's like stuck in detents that stick into the body of the gun. You can pick those out and put new ones back in the gun and put it back together.
That's a good idea.
You always have an extra set of detents on the gun in case you need them.
That's actually really smart. Other companies should look into doing something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, because they give them to you, obviously, but
the Lux isn't retarded, so their detents they don't wear out. So
that's true. Yeah, but how often have Planet Eclipse ones really worn? You know what I mean? How often do? Yeah, but how often do you replaced a set of detents in a gun that's you bought brand new? You know what I mean?
In a long time, but I used to replace them all the time in the Timmies.
Really? Well, maybe in the Timmies, but I feel like I've never. I've replaced it, but I never feel like I needed to. I feel like I was like, oh, I have a million detents here because I had a million Planet. I mean, just replace these. Like, I feel like that's the only reason I ever did it because I was like, it felt like a part. Like, it's so easy to replace. Even on like a older Ego, is literally 2 screws. Yeah. Push the bitches out, push the new ones in, and that was that. But well, sir.
Well, what are you doing this weekend? Since you're being a bitch.
What am I doing this weekend? I'm in Florida this weekend.
Man, imagine going to Florida and being right next to where we are. Actually, no, you're going to St. Augustine, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to be around there.
Yeah, so
if I was, I'd definitely at least come by, but I'm not going to be that far down.
Clown.
I know. Tell me about it. But anything else, sir? After you roast me on our podcast, you called me out right here at the end.
How about
He's like,
while we're in the roast session, I was roasting the fuck out of Ken from Savannah Titans. I said, what did I say? This weekend, I'm like, hey, we got a practice going on, where you at? He's like, oh, I'm out fishing. I'm like, how about missing 3 or 4 practices in a row? He's like, oh, it's 2. I'm like, bull fucking shit, it's 2. And then they'll miss this weekend, I would imagine. Yeah. If not, they'll come run drills by themselves, which won't really help out.
Yeah.
And then we won't be here next weekend because we'll have off.
Yep.
So they'll miss that weekend. I'm like, you're going to miss 5 weeks of practice.
Yep.
I'm like, I didn't know you guys are that good to miss 5 weeks of practice in a row. I'm like,
you know who he sounds like?
Ew.
Carson. I did it this time instead of you.
How about Carson messaged me 2 weeks ago and seeing our roster was like empty or like mixing a couple guys. He's like, hey, who's all playing the MVPS? And I'm like, I said something like, yeah, we got a couple guys. And I'm like, well, I'm short on guys. I'm like, I just can't use you. I'm like, you just haven't played. He's like, well, I've been playing. I'm like, no. I'm like, you got to have spins like on the fucking layout. You got to have spins with the line. I'm like, this is MVPS a little bit, I can't just throw you on a fucking line.
It's a different ball game.
I'm like, all right, you're good to go. Just fucking hop in and just wing it, Chief. Like, you can't do it.
Chief. That'll be our next sticker.
Wing it. Just wing it, Chief.
Just wing it, Chief.
Yeah. So I told him, I'm like, can't use you, dude. Not like, I'd love to use you. I'm like, but if you're not practicing, making one month or one practice a month, hey, can't do it. So
no, I don't blame you. And it sucks when people can't. You know what I mean? People work. Like, it sucks, but it's like you can't risk having someone who just could be rusty. Maybe they're not rusty. Maybe they are. And you got a whole team of people that have been playing every weekend together. And it's like, well, we can't sit someone. You can come as a spare, maybe. But
feel pods.
Yeah, you can feel pods and talk to us.
You wipe my sweat off my nuts.
Oh, Carson, that one was for you.
Shit on you, bitch.
But I forget how many views we broke, but
3,500.
3,500, and we are really close to 4K already. We're really close to 4K.
I know.
Like, it went this past month, and then coming into this month has had so many views. It's kind of crazy.
What's crazy though is we had a couple extra views from like teams from the CPSL that reached out to the paintball page that I didn't know listened.
Yeah. Well, and then I know, obviously, we talk about Michael Payne. He moved up to Wisconsin or wherever the fuck up there, Michigan or some bullshit.
Downville.
And some of those guys up there, he said they've been tuning in. And I see the different listener locations.
Yeah.
Checking in. So definitely thanks to everybody who keeps listening. It's kind of crazy.
30-degree weather still.
That would suck. Yeah, I mean, we're in 90s now, though. So it's like, do I sweat my balls off or do I freeze my balls together? Like, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I still rather sweat my balls off just because I'm used to it, maybe. Like.
Yeah.
I mean, I've grown up here, so.
I always say I like the cold more than the hot. I do, but I don't like that cold. That cold is a limit. Like, I don't want the fucking that freezing.
I mean, I go back and forth. Like I'm cold in general. Like, I mean, I'm wearing a fucking hoodie right now, but it's like I'll wear a light jacket pretty much throughout the summer, like a real, basically like really nothing, just long sleeves.
Yeah.
But then I fucking like sweat when I play paintball, but freeze everywhere else. So I'm like, fuck, it's like a double-edged sword. Like I never know what do I need to prepare for, because it all fucking sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
But all right, if you're good, I'm good. I'll take us out of here.
Take us out of here.
Take us out of here. Thanks for listening, watching, buying merch, not buying merch. It seems to be going pretty good, especially the past month and a half. And again, thanks for listening, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Later.